Hello and welcome back to the Tech Blackboard. Once again today, we are back with 20 latest questions on AZ-900. And as always, we have done thorough research in providing the answers, and all our questions are well supported by Microsoft documentation so that you can validate the answers and also do some self-learning. And please do not miss to watch the previous parts of this series. 225 latest questions are already covered, and I'm sure that you don't want to miss any of those before your examination. Links to all the previous parts are shared in the description box, so let's gear up and prepare for AZ-900. So let's begin part 13 with question number 226. It says that you need to view a list of planned maintenance events that can affect the availability of an Azure subscription. Which blade should you use from Azure portal? To answer, select the appropriate blade in the answer area. So this is the answer area and you are given with a lot of options, and out of these options, you have to select an option that will provide you information on planned maintenance events in your subscription. And the correct answer for this question is help and support. So basically, it's the help and support blade where you will get all the information of planned maintenance. Now let's validate our answer in the Azure portal itself. So here I am in the Azure portal. I'm already logged in and I'm on the home page of the Azure portal. Here you can see on this left hand side, you're presented with lot of blades, and in this blades option, there is an option which is called help and support. You have to click on this help and support. And on this page, you're given with 3 more options, which are all support requests, support plans, and service health. And here you have to select the service health option, and then you will reach to this page. And here you can clearly see that we are given with one option here, which says planned maintenance. It is now showing you the information that no planned events are scheduled. You can also see that we are already selected with our subscription. So the question also asks that you want to have information on the planned maintenance events in your subscription. So in case you have multiple subscriptions, you can always select them here. And as you can see, my friends, we have regions here. So in case you want to see the maintenance or planned maintenance in one particular region, you can change the filter accordingly. Similarly, you can also select one specific service if you only want to have the information of planned maintenance for that selected service. But for now, you can see that I have selected all my subscription, all the regions are selected, and all the services are also selected. And Microsoft says that there is no planned maintenance, which is a really good news. So that's why help and support is the correct answer to this question. Now let's move on to the next question. Question number 227. It says a company has created a resource group as shown below. They want to ensure that the resources within the resource group do not get accidentally deleted. Which of the following would you use for this purpose? Here you can see that we have this screenshot here, and in this screenshot we are given with some of the options. We have activity log, we have access control, tags, quick start, deployment, policies, properties, logs, and export template. Now let's see what are the options given in the question. The option A says access control, then we have policies, logs, and then we have diagnostic settings. So which of these 4 options will help you make sure that your resources in one resource group are not getting accidentally deleted? And the correct answer for this question is option C, logs. And a great place to start on Azure Logs is this documentation from Microsoft that says lock your resources to protect your infrastructure. Here you can see the Microsoft says that as an administrator, you can lock your Azure subscription, resource group, and resources to protect them from accidental user deletion and modifications. The logs override any user permission. Very important, please note, the logs overrides any user permissions. And also, my friends, it's worth noting that the logs not only operate on the resources level, but you can also enable logs on subscription level and resource group level. And it's a very good and practical service from Microsoft Azure. I've been using logs in all my projects to protect all my important resources or the resource groups. And logs is one topic. Probably you will always get some of the questions from this area. So please read the documentation very carefully, and we have already taken some of the questions on logs in the previous parts. So please do check out the previous parts of this series. Now let's move on to the question number 228. It says that in which Azure support plan can you open a new support request? Your options are Premier and Professional Direct only. The second option is Premier, Professional Direct and Standard only. Third one is Premier, Professional Direct, Standard and Developer only. And the last one is Professional Direct, Standard, Developer and Basic. And the correct answer for this question is option D, Professional Direct, Standard, Developer and Basic. And this means that you can open a new support request in all of the 4 support plans. And friends, support plans is also one area from which you will always get some questions. A good place to start on support plans is this Microsoft documentation. And just to mention here, all of the links to all the documentation that I referred during my videos are always shared in the description box. Now here comes question number 229. It says that you plan to use workspace.fromConfig method to connect to your Azure machine learning workspace from Python environment on your local workstation. And further it says that you have already used PIP to install Azure ML SDK package. What else should you do? And your options are run PIP install Azure ML SDK notebook to install notebooks extra. The second option is download the config.json file for your workspace to the folder containing your local Python code files. The last option says create a compute instance, compute target in your workspace. And the correct answer for this question is option B, where you have to download the config.json file for your workspace to the folder containing your local Python code files. And this is because to connect a workspace from an environment outside the workspace, you should download the config.json file for your workspace from Azure portal. And this includes the subscription and the workspace information necessary to connect. And with that, we have our question number 230. It says a company wants to purchase a Microsoft Azure support plan, and below is the key requirement from the support plan. Regular architecture reviews from Microsoft for the Azure environment. Which of the plan would the company need to purchase to fulfill this requirement? Your options are Basic, Developer, Professional Direct or Standard. And the correct answer for this question is Developer. And of course, we can validate our answer on this documentation. There is an option in this documentation which says architecture support. So you can see that in other support plans, for example, in developer support plan and standard support plan, you do have general guidelines for architectural support, but then it's only professional direct plan, which is this one, the last one here. So you can see here it's written that only in professional direct plan, we have guidelines from a pool of pro direct delivery managers. And that's why professional direct is the correct answer for this question. Now let's move on. Question number 231. It says that this question requires that you evaluate the underlined text to determine if it's correct. And here you can see that we have this underlined text. Let's read the entire sentence. It says a support plan solution that gives you best practice information, health status and notifications, and 24/7 access to billing information at the lowest possible cost is standard support plan. So in case you feel that standard support plan is the correct option to fulfill all these business needs, then in that case you have to select no change needed. Otherwise, you have to replace standard support plan with the other options such as developer, basic or premier. And let me tell you the correct answer, my friends. It's option C, basic. So please pay attention, my friends, that though the standard support plan also fulfills all the requirements that are given here, it's actually the basic support plan that will fulfill all these needs at lower possible cost. Now let's move on to the question number 232. It says, which Azure service should you use to store certificates? Your options are Azure Information Protection, Azure Key Vault and Azure Storage Account, and the last one is Azure Security Center. And the correct answer for sure is option B, Azure Key Vault. And please note, it's not only the certificate that you store in Azure Key Vault. You can actually use Azure Key Vault for other purposes such as storing the keys and the passwords. So what are the other benefits of Azure Key Vault? Let's read out. It says increase security and control over keys and passwords. Create and import encryption keys in minutes. Application have no direct access to the keys. And the best part is that you can also use FIPS 140/2 level 2 and level 3 validated HSM. Also friends, Azure Key Vaults reduce the latency with cloud scale and global redundancy. And it also simplifies and automate tasks for SSL TLS certificates. And rest all the information on Azure Keyboard. You can read whenever your time permits. Coming up next is question number 233. It says a company plans to set up multiple resources within their Microsoft Azure subscription. Now they want to implement tagging of resources within Microsoft Azure, but they also want to ensure that when the resource groups are created, they have to contain a tag with the name organization and value Montana. Now as a solution, you recommend using Azure Keyboard for implementing this requirement. Would this recommendation fulfill this requirement? Yes or no? And the correct answer, my friends, is no. And this is because Azure Keyboard is a tool for securely storing and accessing secrets. A secret can be anything that you want to tightly control access to, such as API keys, passwords, or certificates. We just discussed Azure Keyboard in the previous question. So Azure Keyboard has nothing to do with tagging of resources. That's why we have selected no for this question. So what's the correct service for tagging of resources? Let's find out in next two variations. And here comes the second variation, question number 234. Question exactly the same. However, this time the solution or the recommendation is that you recommend using Azure Logs for implementing this requirement. Would this recommendation fulfill this requirement? Yes or no? And once again, the correct answer is no. And this is because Azure Logs is a service that helps you protect your resources from accidental deletion. I just explained Azure Logs in question number 227. You can see the documentation there. So once again, Azure Logs is not the service that you can use for tagging of resources. So now comes the last and the third variation of the same question, question number 235. And this time the solution says that you recommend using Azure policies for implementing this requirement. Would this recommendation fulfill this requirement? Yes or no? And this time, of course, this is a correct solution. And of course, now it's time to validate our answers. The documentation says that assign policy definitions for tag compliance. And the very first line of this documentation says that you can assign Azure policy to ensure tagging rules and conventions. You can read that there are a lot of ways that you can assign Azure policies and implement this tagging requirement. You can see that we can put Azure policy and enforce tagging on resource group level. We can also do that on resources level, subscription level, so on and so forth. So that's why Azure policies is the service that you use to tag the resources. And here comes question number 236. It says your company needs to deploy and manage several Azure web apps using Azure App Service Resource. Which of the following URL would you use to manage Azure web apps? And your options are given here. So we have four options here. We have portal.microsoft.com, we have portal.azure.com, and then we have portal.azurewebsites.net, and the last option is portal.azurewebsites.com. And I'm pretty sure 100% of you have guessed the right answer, and that is option B, portal.azure.com. And now let's move on to the question 237. It says a company wants to ensure that the users in their company are authenticated when they access resources defined in their Microsoft Azure account. Which of the following is correct definition of authentication? And your options are: this specifies the type of service that you can use in Azure. The second option is this specifies the type of data that you can use in Azure. Third one is this is the act of providing legitimate credentials. And the last option is this specifies what you can do in Microsoft Azure. And the correct answer, but of course, is option C. This is the act of providing legitimate credentials. And here comes question 238. It says a company needs to create around 50 customized virtual machines. Out of these 50 virtual machines, 20 are Windows-based virtual machines and 30 are Ubuntu virtual machines. Which of the following would help reduce administrative effort required to deploy the machines? Your options are Azure Load Balancer, Azure Web App, Azure Traffic Manager, or Azure Skill Set. And the correct answer for this question is option D, Azure Skill Sets. So what are virtual machine skill set? Let's find out. The documentation says that Azure Virtual Machine Skill Set lets you create and manage a group of load balanced virtual machines. The number of virtual machines can automatically increase or decrease in response to the demand or a defined schedule. And then you can also observe some of the key benefits of skill set. The first one is easy to create and manage multiple virtual machines. And this very statement validates our answer as well. So we have a requirement of creating 50 virtual machine, customized virtual machines. 20 of them are Windows based and the other 30 are Ubuntu based. And here it clearly says that the skill sets easily lets you create and manage multiple virtual machines. So that's why Azure skill set is the correct answer. Moving on with the question number 239, it says from Azure Monitor, please observe this underline here. You can view which user turned off a specific virtual machines during last 14 days. Now the instruction for this question says that review the underlined text. This is Azure Monitor. If it makes the statement correct, then you have to select no change needed. So basically the first option. And if the statement is incorrect, then you have to select the correct answer that will make this statement correct. So basically you have to choose from other three services given, which are Azure Event Hubs, Azure Activity Log, and Azure Service Health. So do you think Azure Monitor will help you view which user has turned off the specific virtual machine? Well, that's not the correct answer. The correct answer for this question is option C, Azure Activity Log. Now let's move on to the question number 240. It says you plan to implement an Azure database solution. You need to implement a database solution that meets the following requirements. The first requirement is that can add data concurrently from multiple regions, and the second one is can store JSON documents. Which database service should you deploy? Your options are Azure SQL Database, Azure Database for PostgreSQL. The third option is Azure Database for MariaDB, and the last one is Azure Cosmos DB. And the correct answer for this question is option D, Azure Cosmos DB. So friends, always keep this in mind whenever in the question you see that there is a ask for data concurrency and JSON documents, then in that case always go for Cosmos DB. And with that, we arrive to the question number 241. It says that you plan to map a network drive from several computers that run Windows 10 to Azure storage. You need to create a storage solution in Azure for planned map drive. What should you create? Your options are a blob storage in storage account, a table in storage account, and the last option is a file service in a storage account. And the correct answer for this question is option C, a file service in a storage account. And this is because only the file service in storage account lets you create map drives from Windows machines to storage accounts. Now let's move on to the question number 242. It says that you plan to deploy a website to Azure. The website will be accessed by users worldwide and will host large video files. So basically a YouTube kind of application. You need to recommend which Azure feature must be used to provide the best video playback experience. What should you recommend? Your options are Azure Region Content Delivery Network, also better known as CDN, and the last one is Azure Cache. And the correct answer unarguably is Content Delivery Network. So what is Azure Content Delivery Network? Basically, it's a service that offers a global solution for rapidly delivering the content. You can also read this here that it says that Azure Content Delivery Network helps you stream media and download large file quickly with optimized delivery. And that's why CDN is the correct answer. And now comes question number 243. It says a company has a set of virtual machines defined within Microsoft Azure. One of the machines was down due to the issues with the underlying Azure infrastructure. The server was down for an extended period of time and breached the standard SLA defined by Microsoft. Now, how do you think Microsoft will reimburse the downtime costs? Your options are by directly sending money to the customer's bank account, or the second option is by spinning up another virtual machine free of cost for the client. The third one is by providing service credits to the customer, and the last one is by providing a service free of cost to use for a specific duration of time. And the correct answer for this question is option C, by providing service credits to the customer. And in case you want to dig more on SLAs or service level agreements, this is the Microsoft documentation. Links as usual is provided in the description box. Now let's move on to the question number 244. It says that your company has an on-premises network that contains multiple servers. The company plans to reduce the following administrative responsibilities of network administrator. The first one is backing up application data. The second one is replacing failed server hardware. And then we are given with managing physical server security. The fourth one is updating server operating system. And the last one is managing permissions to the shared documents. Further, the question says the company plans to migrate several servers to Azure virtual machines. You need to identify which of the administrative responsibilities will be eliminated after the planned migration. And please note that you have to select two responsibilities. Your options are managing physical server security, updating server operating system, managing permissions to the shared documents. The fourth one is backing up the application data. And the fifth one is replacing failed server hardware. And the correct answer for this question is option A and option E. So just to make it clear, once you migrate your servers to Azure Virtual Machine, your administrators will be free from the responsibilities of managing physical server security, and also they will get free from the responsibility of replacing failed server hardware. And why do you think this will happen? Because all these responsibilities will now be taken care by Microsoft Azure. And with that, we have reached to the question number 245. It says a system ability to scale dynamically is called. Your options are agility, elasticity, or extendability. And the correct answer to this question is option B, elasticity. And please understand, whenever we say that any system is elastic, that essentially means that the system can adjust its processing power to match the demand. This means that the system can allocate or deallocate resources dynamically. So friends, I'm sure that you're learning a lot with these videos and free PDF files. We need your support here to keep our content always free, as we have done so far. A lot of viewers enjoy and learn our content, but they really miss out to like the videos and subscribe to the channel. So I truly request you to please press the like button and subscribe to the channel. Both activities are free for you, but this is the only way for us to expand and reach out to more and more cloud learners just like you. Also, do share our videos with everyone who is learning and preparing for Microsoft Azure certifications. You can share our videos on any platform, YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, anywhere you like, but please share our videos. And that's all for today. Any queries or doubts, maybe some answer is not clear, please do reach us in the comment section, and I will see you in the next video. Till then, stay fit, keep learning, and thanks for watching.
If this video has added any value in your learning, a like and subscribe is highly appreciated. Share this video in your family and friends to spread and expand their learning. Your comments and feedback give me a chance to interact with you, and I look forward for them. We will meet again in our next video. Till then, stay fit, keep learning, and thanks for watching.